today, Healing Hands Massage Institute in Richardson, Texas, is applying for its initial certificate of authority. Coordinating board staff present today are Elizabeth Meyer, Assistant Commissioner, Academic and Health Affairs, Paul Schuler, Manager and Staff Liaison, who coordinated the on-site team visit, and I am Kathy Mayert, Director for Private Post-Secondary Institutions. I want to welcome our Certification Advisory Council members. CAC members, after I state your name, please identify yourself and give your institution and title. Dr. Dorothy Langley.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Dorothy Langley, Dean of Adult and Continuing Education here at Jarvis Christian University in Hawkins and Dallas.
Dr. Gina Anderson.
Good morning, everyone. I am the Associate Dean for Educator Preparation and Partnerships at Texas Woman's University in Denton, Texas. Again, my name is Gina Anderson. It's good to see you all.
Dr. Cheryl Sneed Green.
Good morning. My name is Cheryl Sneed Green, and I am with Prairie View A&M University, and I am the Assistant Provost.
Dr. Jane Moschella.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Jane Moschella, Executive Vice President and Provost for Parker University in Dallas, Texas. Good morning.
Dr. John Vassar.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Vassar. I serve as Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of Mary Hardin Baylor in Belton, Texas.
And Mr. Tom Ronk had emailed me and said he had a conflict. He is in conflict. He has another conference or meeting that he is attending, so I do not believe he will be with us today. We have the institution representative who will introduce himself at the point the CAC considers the Certificate of Authority application, and the site team lead as well. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to the CAC chair, Dr. Dorothy Langley.
Good morning again, everyone. It's good to see you. At this point, we're going to consider the summary notes from our meeting on August the 8th, 2023. Have the CAC members reviewed the August 8th, 2023 meeting summary notes that should have been emailed to you prior to the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any revisions?
I just have one under members present. My last name Green has an E at the end of it.
Apologize, Dr. Green. We frequently get that wrong, and I very much apologize.
I have so many E's in my name, I know.
We'll get that corrected. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Green. If no other revisions, I'm going to ask for a motion and second to approve with revisions if necessary.
Jane Moschella, move to approve the summary notes.
Thank you.
Gina Anderson, I second the motion to approve.
Thank you. Any discussion? At this time, we'll ask individuals to say yes or no at this time. We've received our motion and second. So Cam, if you can help me call them off, I appreciate it.
Yes. Dr. Anderson.
Yes, I approve.
Let's see. Dr. Moschella.
Approve.
Dr. Langley.
Approve.
Dr.
Yes.
Sneed Green.
Approved.
And Dr. Vassar.
Approved.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Cam, for that. The August 8, 2023 meeting summary notes are approved with the revision of adding the E to Dr. Green's name. At this time, we're going to move to the next item on our agenda, and it is the consideration of the application for Healing Hands Massage Institute for an initial certificate, I can't talk today, of authority. It is my understanding that the Healing Hand Massage Institute LLC operates in Richardson, Texas, offering a non-degree program in massage therapy under the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation and has COMTA accreditation. COMTA is not a coordinated board recognized accrediting agency. Healing Hands has applied for a certificate of authority to offer an associate's degree in massage therapy. That application is before the CAC to make a recommendation. CAC members received the site visit report and Healing Hands response to the report on October the 20th, 2023, and have had the opportunity to review. At this time, I ask that any representatives of the Healing Hand in attendance to please introduce themselves by providing your name and title at this time.
Yes, I'm Andrew Alexander. I'm the director of Healing Hands. I've got John Joe behind me somewhere, but if we can grab him if we need him.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for attending. Next, we will have any member of the site visit team present to introduce themselves by providing their name and title.
Good morning, Dr. Christina Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of Work-Based Learning and Industry Partnerships at Houston Community College.
Thank you so much for attending today as well. For the benefit of all present, I will ask Cam to provide a brief overview of the Certificate of Authority process and validity timeline. Cam?
Thank you. Each certificate of authority is valid for 2 years. This would be an initial certificate of authority for Healing Hands. The CAC is tasked with reviewing the site team's report and the organization's response, and then making a recommendation on disposition to the commissioner and to the coordinating board. Following the CAC's recommendation, the commissioner makes an independent recommendation. Both disposition recommendations are provided to the coordinating board for consideration at a board meeting, which is scheduled to occur quarterly. The next board meeting is scheduled on January 25th, 2024. This certificate of authority, if approved by the board, would be valid from January 2024 to January 2026. Institutions can apply for and receive certificates of authority for a total of 8 years. At the end of 8 years, the institution must have received THECB recognized accreditation. Institutions must work towards THECB recognized accreditation throughout all of their certificate of authority terms. If the coordinating board does not approve, the applicant will be notified of the reason for denial. For an applicant lacking previous operational history, the applicant may not reapply for a period of 1 year from the date of denial. And for an applicant meeting the previous operational history requirement, that period is reduced to 180 days. Certification by the state of Texas is not accreditation, but merely a protection of the public interest while the institution pursues accreditation from a recognized agency. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Cam. At this time, I would like to provide the opportunity for both applicant and the site team to provide up to a 10-minute statement. I ask that the applicant provide information regarding their proposed degree program and accreditation plans. I ask that the site team provide an overview of their report. This is not an opportunity for questions or for presentation of additional information. Following the presentation, council members may ask additional questions as they see fit. Mr. Alexander, you may proceed with your presentation with your 10-minute statement at this time.
Awesome. So Healing Hands, as you said, it's a licensed accredited massage school in Richardson. We are accredited by COMTA. Parker University was actually one of our main reviewers for our accreditation. They are considered the gold standard of massage, but they're not recognized by THECB. This is mostly due to a quirk with the regulation, not with any competency or problem with the accreditor. Our program is we have a very high population of minority and immigrant students. We work with a lot of language disadvantaged students. We define language disadvantaged as students that have to take a licensing exam in a language other than their native language. Program's very highly successful, especially given our disadvantaged students. Our pass rates for our licensing exam, even for our 3-month program, are considerably higher than state average and competitive with existing THECB schools with much longer programs. About our associate's degree, this is mostly being created as an exit from Healing Hands, not an entrance. All of our programs are legally authorized to run. There's no additional courses that we're going to be teaching. We've partnered with Collin County to basically teach out the general education that's required. We're not planning any direct enrollments. As you saw in the site visit report, we're not even advertising for the program. We're looking as a way to incentivize and encourage some of our students to continue on into traditional college education. Really, the thought behind this is that, like, massage is a trade skill. The students come here in a short period of time, they get skills, they get a job, and for almost everyone, that's it, right? However, we do have students that come back again and again, looking for more training, more knowledge for different techniques, lymphatic, sports injury, and it starts to add up to a significant amount of training. It really gets to the point that they would be better suited if they were to enter a traditional school. They want to go into physical therapy, they go to chiropractic. There's some healthcare management things if that would really suit them if they were just given the push. The problem is that a lot of people that go to trade school are very opposed to traditional education. They're afraid that it's going to be useless or that they're going to be drowning in student debt. So we wanted to structure something in partnership with like a traditional college that kind of encourages them to dip their toes into just traditional college academia that isn't going to be overwhelming. And that's really why we partnered with Collin County to kind of deliver our general education. We kind of picked out, hey, here's the courses that they can use. They can use these to go different directions, and they can use that to kind of leap on to further education. So really the scope is pretty narrow here. We're not actually expecting any direct enrollments. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of active enrollments in this degree program. Also, as a small update, since the site visit, we received interim approval from CompTIA for this associate's program, pending state approval. So unlike most of the programs that go through this process, our program will be accredited by a USDE recognized accreditor from inception. The other small thing that's kind of changed is that we were initially going to switch to ABHES as our accreditor. This was done under the theory that Texas didn't recognize CompTIA, so maybe they're not very good. We've done the due diligence and things like that there, and we talked to all the other accreditors. They're the proper accreditor for us to be under. So we are instead going to be seeking dual accreditation with ACCSC. CompTIA actually spun off of ACCSC. Most of their standards are like basically carbon copies of each other. So going through the SEER and everything, it's all very straightforward for us to plug into. Anyhow, been talking for a while. Let me just kind of stop so we can move on.
All right, thank you so much. We do appreciate that. Next week, we'll go to the site team and allow for your overview report, please.
All right. Esteemed members of the committee, I'm Christina Robinson, and I served as the site evaluation lead. And it's my privilege to introduce the completed evaluation of HHMI as a new educational institute seeking approval for the delivery of the AAS in massage therapy. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has long been at the forefront of ensuring quality and accessibility to higher education in the state, and the committee plays a pivotal role in these standards. Today, we gather to review this application and assess the potential to meet the rigorous benchmarks set by this board. In our report, our aim is to provide a holistic view of the proposed institution, considering its alignment with the state standards. This evaluation underscores the vital role of the committee in safeguarding the quality and integrity of higher education in Texas, and ensuring that any new educational endeavor meets the high standards set by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. During this presentation, it's important to note that HHMI is seeking to become an academic degree granting institution. On January 30th through February 1st, 2023, the site team went to Dallas, Texas to visit HHMI. The site team had reviewed 17 provided documents prior to the visit, and during the site visit, we were provided with an additional 64 documents, several of which were created during the visit and contributed to the findings and responses. Due to a snowstorm, the team had to stay in Dallas an extra day, and it provided our team a great opportunity to complete all findings and ensure if there were any additional items, we could follow up on those necessary to complete the evaluation. As noted in the report, HHMI met the requirements for standards 9, 11, 16, and 18. However, there were concerns with numerous other standards. Over the next few minutes, I will highlight specific areas which contributed to our findings. Number one, legal compliance. During the visit, the site team observed cabinets nor files were behind locked doors. Although they were in a room with a door, they were not locked. Number two, institutional officer qualifications. Based on review, neither Mr. Alexander nor the CAO, acting CAO, Mr. Zhu, had previous experience at a degree granting institution. Granting massage certificates and degrees do require different standards in education. Governance. There appears to be no formal governance existing at HHMI. Number four, distinction of roles. HHMI's staff and faculty all report to Mr. Alexander. However, Mr. Alexander does not meet the academic requirements for a CAO. Mr. Zhu serves as the student coordinator, business manager, and faculty member. However, no one directly reports to him, and he is currently acting as CAO. If granted degree granting authority, roles would need to be more clearly defined. Financial records, number 6. As noted in the report, there was no compilation report for 2020. The team met with the CPA firms who verified there were no written standards in place around internal processes. In addition, there were no audited financials provided. Number 7, institutional assessment. Upon visiting with both the acting CAO and faculty, there were no formalized professional development for faculty during the visit. Number 8, program evaluation. As noted in the report, HHMI has individual course outcomes, but not program learning outcomes. In addition, grades are not provided until the end of the program. Students can take tests as many times as necessary to graduate. Hence, quality rigor did not appear to be reflected in the students or the faculty. Number 10, student admission. Students are enrolled without a background check. However, backgrounds are required for licensure. This is a high-touch environment, so anyone, regardless of criminal record, can currently enroll. Number 12, faculty size. Faculty do not have documented performance evaluations or peer evaluations. Verbal resolution is used. Mr. Zhu, acting CAO, spoke to an incident report. However, this was not provided to the team. The lead faculty is responsible for sending changes in curriculum to Mr. Alexander, at which point he approves or denies. Academic freedom and security, number 13. The faculty handbook was created during the site visit. There are no faculty contracts or anything in the handbook around faculty promotions, demotions, termination, or discipline. HMI does not require a background check on faculty because background is required for licensure. However, backgrounds do change. Faculty files are missing significant documentation, such as massage licenses, and no consistency of documentation. One faculty member had only a resume on file. However, he was currently teaching in the classroom. Number 14, curriculum. Sequencing of courses was the biggest concern due to the level of coursework and level of student attending the class. For example, a student might not have completed class 2, but yet they were attending classes with students in class 8. Number 15, general education. During the visit, a draft agreement was provided with Collins College. However, at the point in time, there was no signed partnership for general education requirements. Number 17, learning resources. No written plan on course material selection or support was provided. Number 19, academic records. The files provided to the site team were provided by Mr. Zhu, acting CAO, and these files also showed inconsistency of record. Number 20, accurate and fair representation of promotion. HHMI has no board or defined board rules. Certificates are not numbered and there could be easily reproduced. HHMI was unable to provide graduation or drop rates. HHMI has no written policy for out-of-state students. Number 21, academic advising and counseling. As noted in the report, there's no formal counseling or advising requirements or training of staff. According to Mr. Zhu, acting CAO, counseling is provided in the classroom by faculty during the last class. However, this was not reflected in the course objectives or outcomes. Number 22, student rights and responsibilities. There were no records of student complaints or a formalized process. The team was provided with a new grievance policy during the visit. Number 23, health and safety. This was probably the most alarming item to the site team. There were numerous severe complaints regarding faculty member and the behavior with students. It is up to the student to call the police and file a report. Mr. Alexander did not have any documented follow-up with the faculty members. Number 24, learning outcomes. As stated in the report, grades are not provided during the course, only at the end of the course. Hence, there is no method to demonstrate appropriate rigor in learning throughout the course. In conclusion, the findings of this evaluation report reflect a comprehensive analysis of HHMI policies, procedures, provided documents, and interviews. The assessment process has provided valuable insights into the strengths and areas for improvement, enabling the committee to make an informed decision and take meaningful action. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, both of you, for your reports. At this time, the CAC members may ask any clarifying questions that they may have for the applicant or the site team based on the site team report, the applicant's response to that report, and the presentations made today in order for them to reach a decision on their recommendation. So at this time, we're going to open the floor for questions from my colleagues. Do we have any questions at this time?
Jane Michella, for the site team. First, I'd like to state for the record, Mr. Alexander reported that Parker University had people on the visit for CompTIA. I'm never made aware of my staff if they're part of any accrediting commission, whether regional or for the university or programmatic. If they're on a committee, we're asked, we don't ask them where they go. We don't have any knowledge of any of those things that they do. And that's based on privacy and so forth for those institutions, and we follow that strictly. So just for the record. So I want to ask the visiting team, there seemed to be some confusion between what was kept electronically and what was kept on site. And I'm just a little bit, if you could clarify,
Sure.
Was it what you were given that really wasn't from the online environment?
Right. So we went by what was provided to us in the files. We did see the online environment, relatively so, but all of the files that we were provided, that's what we were basing it on.
And then a follow-up to Mr. Alexander, was there confusion as to giving access to the visiting team in regards to what you handed them in person and what was online?
So there were definitely a lot of communication challenges that occurred here with just the terminology that we use. I think one of the more hilarious ones was like when they were reviewing our we had a lot of places where like, oh, this is hosting, things like that there, where they thought we were like throwing parties, not like internet hosting and stuff like that. So definitely some real communication challenges here occurred. We have filing cabinets. We've since gotten rid of those filing cabinets, which had a bunch of legacy files. We would always ask, hey, which ones do you want them from? And there was always a gravitation towards the filing cabinets, not towards our online systems. So usually a lot of the things that they looked at, they provided were from the cabinets, not from our online systems. But there was definitely like anything that they needed, they definitely had access to from the online systems.
Dr. Robinson, did you have access?
Yes, so obviously we went by the files that we were provided by the team there. And then did those files match within the system? I can't confirm that those files matched his electronic system, because once again, we were handed a set of files and those were the files that we reviewed. His acting CIO was the one that provided us with the files. So whether they were from the cabinet or his office, those were the files that we were provided.
Thank you both.
And if there was any like specific files that like, or things that you need to continue reviewing, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the CAC members?
I just wanted to make one additional comment. You know, in one of the file folders, there was no information on a specific faculty member, just a resume. And so we did ask if there was any additional information that we might be able to see for that individual. And at the time, we were not told that there was any information in an online system or anywhere else.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Mr. Anderson, in the response to the site team report, it appears that you're not requesting an approval of the application at this point. You say in response to this, Healing Hands is requesting a deferral of any decision to approve or deny its application. You didn't speak to that specific point earlier, so I wanted to find out what you were seeking in today's meeting.
Yes, so obviously it's very interesting here because we went through our accreditation process, and then of course we sat down with Dr. Schuler, went through every standard prior to our application, and that went pretty well. There was actually an area where we had to downgrade the quality of our service just to meet legal requirements. And then of course we went through the desk review, and then so when we got a very different set of standards from the site visit, of course, we were kind of blown away. I kind of took the team. We jumped on a plane, went to Virginia, met with ABHES. At that time there, we're thinking, okay, so maybe like we're just not getting a good accreditation from CompTIA was our initial thought. So we talked to ABHES, we talked to we talked to ACCSC, we talked to DAC, we basically met with a lot of people, and everyone's like, no, you're being accredited to the right standard. Everything there's right. And it was actually ABHES who pointed out that like a lot of the standards that they were using, especially health and safety and things, are actually not accreditation standards, they're Title IV standards. We're not a Title IV school. And I think we identified like 14 things that are not actually accreditation standards. We actually found one thing that they were suggesting that we consider harmful. So a lot of this here has been very much, we were given a very limited time to respond to all this, to put all this together. So that's kind of why we're asking for the deferral. You didn't get responses to a lot of the standards. I think at this point here, I am ready to, it's 9 months later. So we do have all the information. We can provide that if needed. And that's why we're asking for a deferral, just to make sure that you have a complete picture of what was going on and what we're looking for. And also as part of that there, I was hoping to have this conversation about like, what are the standards that you are looking for? What is like, there are very basic things that could have been, that are just like check boxes on the application if that existed, if they were actually standards. So there's the big confusion between, what the actual standards are is definitely one of the things that probably could use some clarification.
Mr. Alexander, can you help me understand? There were a couple of statements you made. One is there was something hilarious about misunderstanding what you were saying and what the site team was understanding. And I'm just wondering what was hilarious about that, and could that have been rectified at the time of the site team visit? And then also, the job of the site team is to review the standards. So were you not given a copy of the standards?
So it's not a matter of the copy of the standards. Like, for instance, just as an example, they're saying that our admissions team's not bonded. That's like one of the items in that there, right? That's a Title IV thing. We don't need that for accreditation. If we go through the 7-7 process, that's not needed. That's definitely something very easy for us to fix. That's just like a very simple example that's not emotionally confrontational. Like, these are a lot of things that, hey, look, I can turn that on. That was just never mentioned at the time. And that's just something that, like, if that's a standard, that could be in the application, right? Hey, look, are your people bonded? I can check that. That's not something that is a surprise discovery on site. Does that make sense? Not sure if I answered your entire question there. The other thing we're talking about was about the communication. A lot of it was that they were using a lot of Title IV specific language. Like, for instance, talking a lot about, like, oh, Title IX. Well, we don't call it Title IX. We call it, like, this is just anti-discrimination, right? These are just things that we don't care about. So they were definitely using terms that I wasn't familiar with. I had to go look them up later on. But it's things that we have in place. It's just not words that we use. Same thing on our side. We used a lot. The site visit team had no one familiar with any TDLR laws or rules, regulations. So we were using some state-specific terminology. We're also pretty technically savvy here. So we're using a lot of technological terms that, like, we're definitely, like, we weren't even, in some cases, we weren't even understanding that we were misunderstanding each other. So that was pretty interesting.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Dr. Masella?
Yeah, I probably would like to hear again from Dr. Robinson about that communication, and
Sure.
it's atypical of what I'm used to on a visit. Usually there's better communication, so I'm just concerned about that.
Well, I'll say, I have done numerous site visits. I feel like we have clear communication, and I feel like we had clear communication. I think, once again, HHMI is not currently a degree granting institution. They're certificate granting, and there are clear differences. And so, when asking for degree granting, there are specific things that we're going to ask, and we would hope that there would be a knowledge of some of those terms. However, we did explain, for example, governance. That is definitely an academic term, right? What does that mean with relation to what we're looking for? And so, yes, there were definitely differences with regards to understanding. But once again, I think it's because of the difference in academic versus continuing education, right? And believe it or not, I have a lot of experience on the continuing education side as well.
I believe it. I was just wondering, Dr. Alexander, you mentioned that your students were going out of the university to finish the degree process for general education and so forth to Collin County Community College.
Yes.
Will the applied associate's degree be granted through Healing Hands or Collin County Community College?
So first, I'm not a doctor. Second, no, we were.
Sorry,
yeah, not a problem. I've been called worse. The goal here is that they will get their degree from Healing Hands. There's no additional courses that we need to teach them to do that there. Like, a lot of these people have already come far enough along in their case. All of our All of our courses have been reviewed. They hold up to a standard of what an academic course would be. If you look at the difference in like just our test results for the public or for our license exams to what like the general state is, you can kind of see what that is. It's really the only additional piece here is I need them to leave Healing Hands and go to a traditional university. I need them to go. That's the next step in their path, and I'm trying to find a good way to get them into traditional academic area, and this seems to be the smartest way to do it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions, CAC members?
Mr. Anderson, you heard Dr. Robinson indicate that of the concerns that the site visit had, the response to standard 21, I believe, was the one most concerning. I'm sorry, 22. I don't see a response to that that's the one related to complaints procedures, which again, I'm not someone familiar enough with your work, but would seem to be a high context and opportunities for student complaints, I think would be significant. So with that in mind, I mean, how would you respond to the concerns that the site team had for that?
So you're actually right. That is actually, in terms of like the safety handling complaints, like I guess the first thing I want to put out there is like, I am a white male running a massage school. Like if anything happens whatsoever, the cops are being called, like the end. Like I can, like I can like totally not believe them, doesn't matter. Like we're getting the police involved. Like the students don't call them themselves. We call them directly. The other real thing is that like 99% of the complaints are actually not like student, teacher. They're student, they're student to the public, to the patients, right? The intern clinic is where we handle almost every complaint. And we really kind of encourage a, report early, report often kind of thing. And we kind of, previously, we kind of lumped all of the student complaints and all of the complaints against teacher into this process. It's a really refined process. It's just how we keep the clinic safe. The big problem with that there is we didn't really have a system to completely no one that goes to the clinic's ever fully resolved, right? If someone makes a complaint, we don't prove them innocent. We simply just keep watching, keep monitoring, right? So there was never any case from any of our students or any of our faculty that were ever cleared out if they weren't proven guilty, right? If it's guilty, the student's kicked out or whatever. But if it's, hey, look, we're just going to continue observing. So what we've done is we've kind of pulled out the students and the faculty to kind of like a separate complaint process, which will kind of go through a traditional college setting. We kind of took from a lot of our peers. I'm not looking to be a pioneer here. I'm just looking to follow the standards, or just to follow what everyone else does to kind of make sure that everything here stays safe. So that's really the basis, the focus, and kind of where things were with our complaint policy. But it is like, it is a very common thing. It's very actively used. I mean, we had to throw a patient out 2 days ago. So we in massage, that's definitely a very high focus, it gets a lot of our attention, a lot of our time. It's actually the same thing where we consider one of the recommendations by the site visit team to be dangerous.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew. Anyone else? If not, let me know and we're going to move forward at this time. Okay. Make sure I don't see any hands. Cam, help me in case I missed something. At this time, I would like to remind the CAC members that we are tasked with making a recommendation regarding this current application. Based solely on the, based solely on the information provided to the CAC may make a recommendation to either approve or deny the application by majority vote of the members. If a majority vote is unable to be reached, the agenda item will be tabled to the next CAC meeting. The CAC may also recommend additional conditions, restrictions, or reporting requirements during the initial certification of authority and a recommendation to approve. As a reminder, this is a vote for recommendation only. The Commissioner of Higher Education will make an independent recommendation, and both his and our recommendation will be provided to the board for final disposition. At this time, I'll open this item for discussion and a motion on the Health Hands Massage Institute, LLC, application for an initial certification of authority. After any discussion, we will entertain a motion. Do we have any further discussion? May I entertain a motion? Anyone?
Gina Anderson, I move that Healing Hands Massage Institute certificate of certification of authority be denied at this time.
Jane Michelle, a second.
Thank you both. After further discussions or amendments to the motion, I have hearing hands for some reason, but I'm sorry. I think it's healing hands. Is that correct? Let me look at this. It's healing hands. Okay. The motion was up for a vote, and we have a motion recommendation, a motion by Dr. Anderson to deny, and a second by Dr. Masella to deny the Healing Hands Massage Institute application for an initial certification of authority. At this time, we would like to take a verbal vote on that motion by the CAC members.
Okay, I will go around my screens.
Thank you.
Dr. Anderson. And the motion is to deny.
I support the motion. I approve.
Dr. Moschella.
Approve.
Dr. Langley.
Approve.
Dr. Vassar.
I approve the motion.
And Dr. Sneed-Green.
I approve the motion to deny.
Thank you, Cam, and thank you, CAC members. The motion to deny Healing Hands Massage Institute's application for an initial certification authority is passed by votes of the CAC members. The next thing on our agenda is update on meeting dates and expected applications. Cam?
That would be me. The next scheduled CAC meeting is February 1st, 2024. Please calendar that date. As a reminder, this committee has been authorized to continue meeting virtually. Staff will provide an update should this change. Since we do have a small advisory committee, remember that we do need each CAC member to participate, especially when members leave an institution or have an unavoidable conflict. Please put the upcoming meeting date on your calendar. Again, that is February 1st, 2024. I thank you for your willingness to serve and ensure that we always have a quorum. Finally, please email me a summary of your expenses, if any, for this meeting. We are required to report the amount advisory committee members expend for meetings, and expenses may include travel, copies you made, and so forth. That is all I have, Dr. Langley.
Thank you so much. And again, we want to thank Mr. Alexander and also Dr. Robertson for their report, and for the CAC and everyone for participating on this call. So at this time, I'm going to say our meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.